Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about the new cover for The Walking Dead issue 168. Now, if you're not caught up with the Walking Dead comic, there's going to be some spoilers in this, most likely discussing where we are at this part in the story, so leave now if you are not caught up. With that said, here is the new cover, and this cover looks fan-frickin-tastic. I like it. Now, I do agree with the fans saying that it's a little plain. It's just white, with them bowing down in front of Negan. And I don't know if this is a decision for simplicity's sake. Like, okay, we got other things to do. Let's just whip this together, and that's that. But they have released covers that look complex. Covers that didn't need to be complex. We got a whole woods scene with the survivors coming out of the woods with their guns up. That looked like a complicated cover to draw. We've had complicated covers like that recently too, just previously with Maggie and Carl and baby Herschel looking out over at the destruction. That was a complicated cover with a lot of visuals. So I think this is leaning more towards mimicking or paying tribute to one of my other favorite covers, issue 103. Remember, on that we hit issue 100, and then at 10 they had the Glenn kill, and then in issue 103 that's when Negan came to the sanctuary, the Alexandria for the first time, I believe, to collect his due, and this is, on that cover we have Negan with his bat up, and it's white with just a shadow effect. I think I don't have it pulled up, but there was a tint to the cover as well, I believe, but there was that shadow, and it was Rick kneeling in front of Negan. And I think Negan it's even the same style angle. It's the same angle, kind of. I really should pull that picture up, but I'm moving things around, and I have the webcam on the table, and I don't want to shake it around like crazy and drive you guys nuts. But I think this cover is supposed to pay homage to 103 and maybe tie into the story the way it's worked out with the story, because we have Rick who recently ran into the Saviors, and then Negan had to kill Glenn and put Rick in his place, and then he came for their first tribute. Now we have a situation where Negan is working with the survivors, and the old Saviors are trying to take over the communities. There's a lot more tint than I thought. Cover 103 had like a red tint. That was a nice cover. Yeah, I like that. And I pictured it in reverse. I thought Negan was here and Rick was here, but it's totally reversed. But it's still the same angle, so maybe they're not trying to pay homage to 103, but I think there's a chance they are. But I like this cover. They could have did some type of shading effect like they did with 103, but I think because of the story where the Saviors are trying to attack all the communities at Alexandria while they are dealing with the Whisperer problem, or the problem that the Whisperers caused by bringing the herd there. I think this is the point of the story where Negan rises up and takes over again with the Saviors. It gets tricky, because this is something we predicted a while ago, and I said it would be way too predictable and it would seem like it's chasing its tail. And there's a part of me that still feels that would be the long way around a different ending, an alternate ending in All Out War. If Rick would have said at the very end of the war, when Rick and Negan were face to face before he cut Negan's throat, if he would have said, hey, or if Rick would have said, hey, you know what? He's seeing what I'm seeing. Let's part ways and we can lead together. That, if this is true, that is literally right where we are at now. if Negan takes over the Saviors, you see what I'm saying? So with that perspective, it kind of would seem like we're chasing our tail. Now the Whisperers aspect, that's the best part that keeps it fresh, keeps it entertaining. That's what I love so much about this. So even though this part of the story might be chasing its tail, having Negan taking over the Saviors, which I also am skeptical they're going to go that route, because I think that's just too easy as a prediction to make. I think that is just way too easy. And they give us these covers, sometimes surprisingly with spoilers right on the covers, and then sometimes the covers are just hints. Sometimes there's symbolism, sometimes there's hidden meaning and messages, and then sometimes it's just a really cool cover. And then sometimes Kirkman changes his mind. Kirkman talked about this recently at the Emerald City Comic-Con, where he had Charlie Adler draw a cover where somebody was looking in the window at Maggie when she was getting undressed. And this was, in his mind, he was going to kill Glenn at this time. So maybe somebody was snooping in at Maggie. I don't know what story he had cooked up, but obviously it was something creepy, and that's kind of a cool direction. I don't wish that would have happened. It's just a cool idea, you know, a creepy aspect to it, like a creepy person in Alexandria. I like that, but maybe that's too similar to the creepy person at the prison with Thomas being a friggin' serial killer. But the point is, that cover is now just symbolic because he changed his story and he didn't have Glenn killed. So now we have a cover with someone peeking in the window that was supposed to be a part of the story that never happened. You know what I mean? So we do get covers like that. Although I think this is definitely connected with a part of the story that's definitely going to happen. Because that at the time seemed like, even though it was a major character death, that was a minor story change. I know that sounds ridiculous because it's a major death. I don't think it would have affected the story in a major way. Just having Glenn killed by somebody in Alexandria, or by a complete stranger, or out on a run, or even, unless Rick has to do it. That's one of the rumors. I think Kirkman did say that the initial idea was Rick had to kill Glenn in order to save the community, but he never went into details with it. But with this story, oh, you know what? That's interesting. 166 cover has Dwight and John fighting. 167 has Andrea and Rick because of Andrea's either bite mark or gunshot wound. And then 168 has Negan on the cover. So these covers are hinting to some really epic and complex storyline that's happening in each issue. These should be pretty action-packed. If you have 166 dealing with the Saviors being there, and then also dealing with Andrea's bite getting to Rick, and then 167 deals with Andrea's bite and the Saviors still, and then 168 deals with the Saviors still, you know what I mean? What are they doing for 3 covers straight? I thought the Saviors would be one and done in 166. Get their asses handed to them, and that's that. But what would be the purpose of putting Negan on the cover of 168 if that's not the issue where he hands them their ass? You know, sometimes they'll have the previous cover end in that previous issue, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes 167's cover ending of the comic will be 168's cover. You know, they've done that frequently. Like with Carl back in 136, he goes out to find Lydia. That ending is 137's cover, but it's just a different angle. It's like a character portrait. So this is interesting. We got a lot of what seems like complex and just absolutely interesting story going on right now because of the situation with Andrea, and we're going to have 3 issues it's going to spill over into. So I'm really wondering how long this thing with the Saviors is going to last, because for right now we're picturing them just fighting right there. Are they going to fight for 3 issues? No, I mean, probably they're going to fight. The Saviors are going to take some of those people captive, drag them to a new location. That's when Negan and the others show up. So this is going to be a little bit more complex than I was giving them credit for. Or they are one and done in 166, and we move on to something else, and 168 is just like a cool cover we get that, you know, is symbolic to the story that came before it, not necessarily representing what story we're getting in that issue, you know? I like the title, though, The Road's End. I like that. I like that a lot. Here we go with the titles again. I like pulling hints from the titles, but we got served that one title that one time that I just feel was bullshit. So if they're going to use bullshit titles and then we make predictions based off that, or if we read into the titles too much, then it's like, what's the purpose? You know the one I'm talking about, where Negan and Alpha, and it said King and Queen or Queen and King. It's like, that has nothing to do with the story. It still doesn't have anything to do with the story. He just killed the bitch. Whatever. Yeah, I like this cover. Really interested in what's going to happen in the Walking Dead comic, and I'm really interested for the story happening after this. We're almost at 175. 175 is going to be another like a milestone issue, and then soon we're going to be at issue 200. Issue 200. It won't be real soon, but I mean, it's going to come up quick. Issue 200, and I'm interested at where the story is going to be heading going towards 200. I stand firm that The Walking Dead needs to explore. You need to explore and discover what else is out there. I think you need to bring The Walking Dead back into the world of survival horror and then establish the communities. I mean, they already have like destruction everywhere. Just rebuild the communities if that's what you're going to do, and send a group out. Take some of your best characters, your fan favorites, take them, Negan and so and so and so and so. Negan proved himself right here. Take him and Carl and Lydia and who else? Michonne says she'll go. If Andrea does die, what if Rick leaves some? No, people aren't going to like this, but what if Rick leaves? What if Rick leaves Carl in charge? Carl and Lydia, and then Rick and Negan and whatever. No, he has the busted knee. I know, I love Rick. I just want to force him into the story. But let's just say he sends Negan and the group out to explore, maybe to Ohio, since they already know there's a community there. And that's where we get more survival horror. We can touch base once in a while with what's going on in Alexandria, but let's follow Negan and this gang out there into the world and explore. We can go on side stories, see what the world is like, maybe get some new twists and turns and a little bit of mystery and just some creepy story. Now, essentially, it's just traveling, but you need a purpose. You need a purpose so that way we can focus on, we can have a clear idea of where the story's headed. Okay, we need to go find this Ohio community, and then once we are along the way, who's to say you can't have a detour side of the story where here's a girl that's like, oh, I need help, these guys are attacking me, and then you go to help them, and then, oh, it's a trap, and here's a little bad group, and that leads to something where a girl or a little community, a cluster of people are like, well, we are a part of this bigger community over this way. So along the way, you run into a big community here. Maybe you find out a little bit more about how different parts of the world fell. In the United States, maybe this community had a bunker that was set up. Maybe there's like a good doctor there. I mean, like a really good doctor, a hospital set up, something like that. And now it's a distance away, so characters will have to earn it if they travel there. But you are also opening this world up. So if you need the story to go a different direction, you can take these characters to these other places. It's always going to be about the horror survival. So as you're traveling, you need to come up with these creepy and interesting stories to deviate. And I know I'm staying general, but you can really build up a suspenseful, interesting, tension-filled story that has to do with just traveling from A to B, but running into shit along the way. And I know I give generic examples of this person set a trap, and here's a bad guy here, but come up with something creative and different, out of that, but have it impact the story in a beneficial way, so that way it's not just filler. All right, that's all I got. I didn't want to just dive in with stuff and recap what we've already did, so I wanted to talk about some possibilities for the future of the Walking Dead comic. I'm really liking this cover. The more I look at it, I don't give a damn. I'm liking this cover. It is a little plain with the white, but I like that. It's going to take us until we read it. Maybe there's some symbolism to why it's white. Clean slate, maybe. It says the road's end, so the white could represent a clean slate with Negan. You know what? If they didn't think of that, that's what they should do. If anyone asks, oh man, why is this cover so white? It's a clean slate with Negan, or for Negan, for the saviors, for all the communities. Who the hell knows? Yeah, that's cool. And the Whisperers are still out there. That is awesome. Don't bring them back too soon. Let them stay out there. Bring them back when no one expects it. At the last minute. I like that. Not the last minute. What last minute? Thoughts and opinions in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.
Subscribe now.